Craig, and this is my first video on mindfulness. So thank you for coming and watching. Today I'm going to talk about just an introduction to mindfulness. So if you're brand new to the practice, then this is a good video for you to watch. It's also good for people who have been sort of attending mindfulness groups or classes, give you a reminder. My aim in this video is to give you a bit of an explanation on what mindfulness is, how it can help you, and we'll also do a meditation to practice our mindfulness. And I'll also give you some tips and practices that you can try at home when you're not watching videos. We'll get on with it. So I'll start with the question, well, what is mindfulness? Well, mindfulness is a way of entering the present moment. You could think of your body as always present. I'm sitting here on this chair at this moment. My body can't be anywhere else, so you could say my body is present in the moment. My mind might not be with my body. It could be thinking, and thinking can take you away from the moment. If you're thinking about the future, for example, you might be worrying about something that's going to happen tomorrow or later on, or next week or a year from now. You might also be thinking about the past. If you had an argument last week with someone, or you watched the news and that annoyed you, and so the news article is all over, but you're somewhere else and you're still thinking about it. That's taking you away from the present moment, and that's what we call non-mindfulness. It's we've gone into our head and we're starting to live in our thoughts. And when we do that, we find we lose sight of the moment, we lose sight of where we actually are and how we're feeling. It's a disconnect to our actuality of life. So we use mindfulness to get us back to the moment. And the benefits of this, it's incredibly healing to do this, because the more you're in your head, the more you're thinking, the more you're likely to have thoughts that will cause worry. As I say, if you're thinking about the future a lot, you can get a lot of anxiety. The kind of what if this happens, what if that happens, or I'm worried about this meeting, or I'm nervous about that email that I need to send. That's all future thinking and could cause worry, anxiety. Similarly, other emotions in our life, like frustrations and annoyance and anger, all of these things come from a lot of thinking, a lot of judging of situations. I'm not saying that we don't have to agree with everything. We don't. But when we get a reaction to something in the moment, what tends to happen is we start fueling the emotion with our thinking, which can make our emotional state stronger and harder to sort of cope with and be rational in. So what tends to happen is, like in an argument, for example, if someone's shouting at you, our first subconscious impulse is to shout back. It's like, I'm getting angry and I want to tell this person that I'm angry. There's not much room for pause or calmness or peacefulness. Mindfulness is about noticing that we have reactions to things, accept that we have such reactions, but choose a way that's more kind and compassionate for everyone, including ourselves. So mindfulness is good for your health. You find the more you practice mindfulness, the more you come back to the moment, and we'll talk about how you do that in a moment. But you find the more you do it, you start feeling happier, because you can only get your joy from the present moment, really. Often you'll probably remember times when you're on holiday or you were relaxed. Maybe there was some joy there, or you were engrossed in something that you really like to do. There's joy there, but you're noticing in those moments that you're concentrating, you're focusing in the moment. And you notice that things like if you're driving or you're walking somewhere and your head's filled with thoughts, that you can get from A to B and get to B and not know how you even got there. You know, you've been in your head, in your subconscious, as we call it. And that can take you away from the moment and the experience of your walk or your drive. The walk might have been filled with wildlife and sunshine and things to notice, and we've not noticed any of it because we've been in our heads thinking the whole time. So you lose your enjoyment of, everyday situations because we're in our head and we're focused on our head. So there are three elements to mindfulness. So we've got the present moment, and in order to get to the present moment, you need your awareness. So that's the second element, awareness. So your awareness is your sense of where you are, which sounds pretty obvious. But if I say to you now, can you feel the chair that you're sitting on? That's your awareness of the chair. Or do you feel the ground under your feet? That's the awareness of your feet and the ground. Are you aware of sounds that you're hearing? Are you aware that your heart's beating? You can find that you focus your awareness on an object or on something. And when you're focusing your awareness on the object, whether it's your feet or the ground or the chair or your breath, as we do in meditation, you find you interrupt your thinking. You actually pause from your thinking and you enter the realm of being. So most of the time we're in our heads. You could say we're all on autopilot. We get up in the morning, we're straight in our head. We're like, right, I've got this to do, that to do, this to do. We're probably rushing about. We're not really aware of our body or our feelings or much at all of how we're doing. We're just in our heads, rattling off our to-do lists. Great, you get lots done. But if you're living a life like that, then you're living in a life of rushing and distraction and often deeper emotions that we've not seen, we've not recognized with our mindfulness, carry on. They stay there, and they can cause us a lot of problems. Things that happened in the past that we've not let go of can keep coming back with memory or thought processes. But if we keep distracting ourselves from it, it still comes. So it's a brave act sometimes to sit with emotions and lean into emotions, but that's what I'll talk about in a bit. So anyway, you have the present moment, you have awareness, and the third element of mindfulness, and actually often the hardest, is non-judgment. And I mean acceptance really with this non-judgment, because of course we judge things positively too, like that's a lovely sunrise, or I'm really enjoying this cup of tea that I'm drinking. You could say those are judgments, and they're fine because they're not kind of making you suffer in any way. They're just of the moment. You're there with your tea or you're there with the sunrise. So you're accepting those things. But it's when you don't accept things, you start to judge them more. So an argument last week, you might not accept that you had an argument last week. You might be going over it in your head, thinking, I can't believe that person said those things, and I was a bit shouty, and I feel a bit guilty about what I did, and actually I don't know if I want to see this person again, and da da da. And so you're reflecting on an argument, so you're not in the moment, and it's causing tension within you. It's causing In fact, it causes bodily symptoms, even though we're not aware of those half the time. You know, our adrenaline might be going up, or our blood pressure might be rising slightly. So it's within our interest to try and accept things, not agree necessarily, but accept that they've happened. And this is the non-judgment. So we start actually with simple things like the weather. Let's pick the weather as a simple thing. So you're outside, lovely sunshine, you're enjoying the sunshine, and then it starts to pour down with rain, and you're only in a t-shirt. And what will happen? You know, one of two things. You'll either go into your head and you'll be like, oh, I can't believe it's raining now. This is awful. Now my walk is ruined. Or, you know, gosh, I'm fed up. Why didn't I bring a jumper or a coat or something? So again, that's kind of non-judgment. That's judgment. Sorry, you're analyzing the rain. Whereas if you accept that it's raining, you're like, oh, okay, it's raining. All right, that's not what I expected, but what do I do about that? You know, well, I'll seek shelter, or I'll just get wet. You know, that's just what's going to happen. I'll dry off when I get home, but there's no sort of stress in that situation. But often when we're thinking about things, it creates additional suffering. Uh, so you could say, if you're practicing being in the present with your awareness and not judging the situation, you have become mindful. And that's wonderful, because when you're in your mindful state, there's no fear, there's no threat. You know, the rain in the previous example is not a threat. It just made you wet. So that's what mindfulness is. You find that the more you practice mindfulness, it starts to open up your heart. And we all have a love center. We all have a heart center. And that's our natural state, is to be what I call a love base, in a love base. So when we're happy, when we're feeling joyful, when we've got gratitude for life, when we're humorous, when we're laughing, when we're creative, or we're feeling connected to people, we're kind, compassionate, that's our love base. That's when we're truly being mindful. When we're in our fear base, because we can easily go into fear, and I'll talk about that in a bit after our meditation, which is coming up. The fear, you tend to have emotions like anxiety or worry or doubt. You doubt your own ability, low confidence, guilt could be there, shame, anger is based on annoyance, impatience, based on rushing about. You're more in fear. You know, you need to be somewhere. You have to do something. Sometimes we have addictions. We have what's called habit energy, which is all autopilot-y, subconscious. We're not deliberately choosing to keep an addiction going. It happens because we're used to doing it. And so all of these things, you know, violent actions, shouting, criticizing, blaming, etc., all of these things come from our fear base. So you could say mindfulness takes you away from your fear base and brings you back to your love base. And your love base is always there. It's there just waiting to be revealed. You've not lost it. It's just covered up by all the stuff that's happened in your life and all our habits. So mindfulness looks at these habits with kindness. Everything is kind with mindfulness. We accept everything. We accept all the fear-based stuff when it arrives, because that's what it means to be human. We're suffering in lots of ways, and you know we also accept when we're in a love base. So whatever befalls us in life, with mindfulness we try and accept it. And if we can live a life where we're accepting everything that comes, you know, for example, anxiety, can you accept that you have anxiety, or are you in your head judging it, criticizing it, wishing it to go away, blaming yourself, beating yourself up for having it, then your anxiety will carry on, I'm afraid. What you'll need, what's good for you, is to accept, okay, at this moment I'm anxious. What do I do about that? Well, now that I've seen anxiety, I can maybe sit with it and be with it, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So that's a basic overview of what mindfulness is and what it can do to help you. So what we'll do now is we'll actually practice some mindfulness. So we will do a meditation. Now, there's no right or wrong way of doing this, because if we were thinking there was a right or wrong way, then we'd be judging meditation in some ways. Actually, it's very important to note that when we meditate, each time can be different. You might have been an experienced meditator, but then you get a meditation and your mind is everywhere and you're not in the present, and that's just the way it happens. So we'll do a meditation just now. So as I say, what we'll try and do is focus on our breath, which is our awareness of our breath. So I just invite you to close your eyes, just relax, and I have a little singing bowl here, which I will strike just to begin. So close your eyes, and here we go. We'll have a go. So just start by noticing your breathing, noticing your in-breath and your out-breath. And feel the air as you breathe in. Feel the air as you breathe out. Breathing in, you know you're breathing in. Breathing out, you know you're breathing out. And just notice if your mind wanders away from focusing on your breath into thinking. And if it does, then that's okay. Just notice that it does. And gently bring your focus, your awareness back to your breath. Breathing in calmly, breathing out easily. And just take this moment as well just to notice how you're feeling. Just notice the connection between your body and the chair that you're sitting on, the ground under your feet. And just tune in to any body sensations that might be there. Maybe there's some aches or pains physically, or an emotion. Whatever's there, just breathe with what's there, accepting that it is there in this moment. Breathing in awareness of your body, breathing out, calming your body. And just expand your awareness away from you and into the room. And just notice any sounds that you can hear. Just bring your awareness to the sounds. See if you can also notice the spaces between the sounds, the quietness or the stillness, and just sink into that quiet. So return to your breath, noticing your in and out breath, feeling the air going into your lungs, following all the way through on your out breath. And so just take 3 deep conscious breaths. And just when you're ready, open your eyes, come back to your space. Okay, so that was about 5 minutes or so of meditation. And you may have noticed several things in that. Um, the first is your mind may have been all over the place. Focusing on your breathing, your awareness can be hard because actually our minds are active all the time. And so you may have noticed that you're thinking about this and thinking about that, and you're not being present, not feeling your breath at all. And that is not a failing, that's okay. You're beginning to notice your mind. That's the point of meditation, is you notice that you're agitated. Your mind is restless and it wants to think about something else or fix something or mull over a problem. But we catch it in meditation. That's what we try and do, and we try and come back to our breath, back to our moment. The breath is a good one to focus on. It's not the only thing that you can focus on, but it is a good thing to come back to because you're always breathing, hopefully. It's always with you. And this is when it can become so useful for you to meditate. I would obviously recommend that you start a daily practice of meditation, even if it's just for 5 minutes, like we did. There's many guided meditations out there on the internet if you need someone to talk through with you. Or you can just watch these videos and skip to the meditation bit. Uh, but a regular sort of discipline of meditation really starts to build your mindfulness. But if you find meditation difficult, then mindfulness is this amazing thing that you can actually take with you on your day, and at any moment you can choose to be mindful if you decide to do that. So mindfulness is consciously choosing to awake from your head and come into the moment. So you can imagine many ways of doing this. For example, when I wake up in the morning, I come to my breath straight away. I think, right, I'm still lying in bed, and I'm like, right, let's take 3 deep breaths. Let's consciously wake up. So I breathe. I try and smile. I try and notice that I smile. I try and notice if I can't smile, if there's something bothering me. This is all good mindful practice. And then I get up out of bed and I feel the ground under my feet. So there's my awareness of the feet and the ground. And I might be aware of carpet or laminate flooring as I move from room to room. And I'm attempting to walk slower because we tend to rush a lot in Western society. It's quite good to slow down if you can. Slowness is good for anxiety. So yeah, I walk, I feel the ground. We notice when we mindfully walk that we start noticing how we walk. Tend to walk putting our heel down and then our front of our feet afterwards. So it's good to focus on that. I call it heel toe. So heel toe, heel toe. You're walking from one room to the next. You might be going downstairs, so you could be mindfully walking down the stairs where you feel that you're on a particular step. You could breathe while you're walking down the steps. Breathing in, I walk down this step. Breathing out, I walk down this step, and so on. It can slow you down walking down the stairs. What you're doing is you're focusing on the moment, not your thoughts. So you're lessening your future thinking. And the less future thinking that you manage, the less anxiety and the less potential stress that you have about the future will come to you because you're in the moment, you see. And you find that the more you're in the moment, your future just unfolds in front of you quite happily. We don't need to think about our future particularly. Sometimes we need to plan for things, of course, and that's fine. But once you plan something, you can take steps towards that plan in the moment. You don't have to constantly be thinking about the plan. So being in the moment is a really calming way to live. So you could walk down the stairs, you could walk into the kitchen, you could think, right, I'm going to have a mindful cereal breakfast. I'm going to be with my cereal. I'm going to just eat my breakfast mindfully. So that's no distractions. I'm not going to watch the news. I'm not going to get annoyed at the news while I'm eating my cereal. I'm not just, stuffing my face with it and thinking about the future and thinking about what plans I've got to do or what I haven't done or what I'm worried about. I'm with my breakfast. You find actually you'll enjoy your breakfast more because you're with it. You'll have your cup of tea, you'll be mindfully drinking your cup of tea, holding the mug. I have a lovely mug right here, so you're holding the mug and you're feeling the heat from the tea or coffee in the mug, and you're feeling the steam wafting up, and you're taking a sip, and you're really enjoying your tea or with your tea. If you were wolfing your tea down and while you were thinking about the future, then you're not in mindfulness, you're in fear base, because for some reason something's more important than your cup of tea. Your tea is very important. And people who know me will laugh. But yes, it's very important. Eating your cereal mindfully, very important. Walking slowly, very important. Mindful walking is a fantastic way of coming out of your head. Going out into nature, looking at trees, feeling the weather, listening to birds, all of this stuff is wonderful if you're focusing on what's going on out there, not up here with the I've got this to do and I'm worried about that and oh my goodness, how am I going to cope with this, etc. You're starting to calm your mind, you're starting to settle your mind, you'll become happier. That's the reasoning behind mindfulness. So you could say it's also good for emotional disturbances. So an example I always give is being in a supermarket queue. Now we're in a supermarket queue. Our autopilot can quickly get annoyed at supermarket queues. It could just go, right, I'm in my head again, and you know what, I'm fed up with this. This is taking far too long. For goodness sake, of all the queues in this shop, I had to choose this one. I'm rolling my eyes, I'm sighing, I'm what I call huffy puffy. I'm annoyed. I'm stood in a supermarket getting annoyed. That's non-mindfulness. That's going automatically into your head, judging a situation. Notice the judgment here. We're not practicing acceptance. We're judging the supermarket queue. We're judging the fact we went to a particular queue, so we're judging ourselves. We're getting annoyed. So there's an emotional response to that judgment. That's what happens. Our thoughts and body are linked. So you're getting annoyed. And then finally, when you get through the queue, you might carry that memory of your supermarket experience out into your car or you're walking, and you might be stomping and you'll be still thinking about it, going, that was terrible service, I can't believe it. Maybe I should complain, really fed up, and I didn't even get what I wanted, I wanted toilet rolls and there weren't any. This is rubbish. That's thinking and judging and not being mindful. And what will happen is the more you're in those kind of states, you'll feel more emotions, you'll feel more annoyed or angry or grouchy or sad, or you'll be in your fear base, and you're living life like this. The more you live life like this, the more likely you are to become sort of ill. You're diseased with what's going on around you. There's no acceptance. We need acceptance in our life to be healthy and to be okay with things. So going back to the supermarket queue as a mindfulness person, if you're in a supermarket queue, what you tend to do is you might notice that you're starting to get annoyed. You might notice that you're thinking about the queue, going, oh, I can't believe hang on, I've caught it. My mindfulness is strong. I've noticed the thinking that's saying this is a load of nonsense. Right, I'll breathe. That's what I'll do. Let me focus my awareness on something. Maybe I can focus on the ground under my feet, or I can wiggle my toes, but let's do my breath, because the breathing is a really calm place to be. So I'm there stood in the queue and I'm breathing. And people don't necessarily know that I'm doing this. This is kind of like quiet under the radar mindfulness. You could be stood in a supermarket queue, everyone else is getting annoyed, and you're just smiling, just breathing. You're actually getting meditation practice in the queue. That's pretty good. You don't need to sit on your cushioning for 5 minutes in the morning when you're at a queue. You might get 10 minutes of mindful practice if it takes you that long to get through. So this is the practice. It's great because you can stand there and not get annoyed. You notice the precursors to annoyance, the thinking, and you stop it. Stop. Um, Breathe. Observe how you're doing in your body. You might notice a lot of things. You might go, oh, I'm getting annoyed at supermarket queues. That's a bit crazy, isn't it? It's not something that's huge or difficult in my life. It's just a queue. Why am I getting annoyed over that? It's good to have curiosity about where these feelings are coming from. Because actually the annoyance is just dormant within you. It's not the cue itself that's causing the problem. That's just triggered it. There's stuff still in there that's not making you zen. It's not making you accepting things. So really start to notice and tune in to your emotions. This is what this practice can give you. And obviously many videos from now I'll be honing your skills in this. So as I say, we're either in our fear base or our love base. And I just want to talk a little bit briefly before we finish about the fear base and what that is. So you may have heard the word ego. And basically when you go into your head and you start judging things, that's your ego mind has kicked in. So it's these things in the queue. I don't like this. I'm fed up with that. I can't believe I picked this queue. Why is this taking so long? I'm needing to be somewhere else. Those are ego phrases, if you like, and they're the ones that are the judgmental ones and the ones that are causing emotional disturbances within you. So your ego is actually your past. It's your conditioned response. It's your autopilot. You're not consciously choosing to become annoyed. You don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to be annoyed today. That would be a good idea. We don't do that, but we become annoyed due to a situation that we're in. And it's often based on no rational, conscious, awakened awareness at all. It just plops up. I don't like this. This is awful. So we're judging something. And so that's our ego. And what will happen when you're in ego mind, which is really yourself, you're thinking about yourself. I actually call ego mind the kind of the lower self. We've also got a higher self, which is not based on ego at all, because you can see your ego. You can see your emotions, that you can see your thoughts. Who is the person who's watching the thoughts? That's a different self. That's your higher self. The lower self lives in the thoughts. They are the thoughts. That's what your ego is. So when you're living in your thoughts and you're attaching to them, you're living life in a subconscious way, and that's creating habits and protective patterns that you may have developed over the years to sort of keep you safe, because there's a fear base, so you're wanting to try and keep safe. It's actually our fight or flight response, which is really useful. We're not trying to get rid of ego either. In fact, with mindfulness, we don't get rid of anything. We just notice. We're just watching. We're becoming the higher self, the observer. So, yeah, we notice when we go into our fear response, our fight or flight. In certain situations, it will help you. If you're faced with a life-threatening situation, you will go into your head and you will judge it and you will try and survive. Perfectly healthy. That's what it's for. But when you're in a supermarket queue or stuck at traffic lights or getting annoyed by the fact it's too hot or it's too cold or it's raining on me or other things that aren't life-threatening, we still enter our stress response. It's good to notice these things because we can calm those things down. We'll be able to let go of things like that. Maybe we can let go of the judgments. So ego is, yeah, it's that. It's subconscious thinking. and it drives our habit energy, our habits and our patterns, and also our emotions, our fear emotions that come up. So anxiety, anger, sadness, guilt, shame, all of these things. None of these emotions are bad. We don't label things as good or bad emotions because, again, that would be judging. Uh, we have a feeling. And yes, it's handy to call a feeling a certain name, like, oh, this feels like anxiety, so I'm anxious. But it's an emotion, it's a feeling that comes in a moment, and it will go away again as well. That's the beauty of emotions, just the same as thoughts. They come and they go. Uh, so as an observer, as your higher self, you can sit and just watch your thoughts go. You can watch your emotions coming in, turning and changing a bit and going away again, and you're fine. You're just this calm presence. This is where we want to be with mindfulness. You find your ego comes up a lot in conflict situations with other people. We find we lose our presence. Even just listening to someone can be difficult. We get distracted. We might have our mobile phone with us. We might be watching something else. We might be in our heads thinking this person's talking absolute nonsense. If you're doing that, then again, you've lost your mindfulness. You're in your head. You're analyzing what someone's saying. Yeah, it's a bit of an art, this mindfulness. But I'm giving you a flavor. This is an introduction, so don't worry if it all sounds daunting. Again, notice your thinking. So ego has I, me, and my in the sentences. I don't like this. If only I could change. I wish that my future was this. I'm fed up with that. My life sucks. I wish that didn't happen to me. So I, me, and my, they're clues that you might have gone up here judging a situation and getting some form of emotional response. So if you can catch that, and this is the practice of mindfulness, all this drinking your mindful tea and eating your cereal and walking mindfully and mindfully meditating and all of these things, what that will do for you is grow your mindfulness, so you'll begin to notice your thinking. And then you have a choice of letting go of the thoughts, ones that are beating yourself up. You might be calling yourself names without you realizing it. You might call yourself stupid or worthless or a failure at times. Good to catch those. It's like, am I really a failure, or is this just my ego voice? Is this just the voice that's been there for years? It might even just be my mum's voice, or someone else's voice that I've remembered as a child, and it's just come back. So the practices, the last three practices I'm just going to discuss, and then we're done, is forgiving yourself for everything that comes. Just whatever happens, whatever you think, whatever you feel, you are where you are. It's fine. What you've done in the past is in the past. So it's all about affirming to yourself that you're a kind, loving human being. Just as I said at the start of this, we have a love center, and we've all got it. So no matter how annoyed or angry or flappy or huffy puffy you are at the moment, there is a love center just waiting to be unearthed again. So forgive where you are, forgive how you are, let go, start practicing letting go. This can be tough, but we're just starting here. Any emotions you get, try and welcome them. Don't run from them. Don't moan about them. Don't judge them. Don't say your anxiety can do one. I've had enough. You're anxious. Okay. Let's be with it. Let's breathe. Breathing with your anxiety is a lovely way of helping you be with your anxiety. Breathing in, anxiety, my old friend. Breathing out, calmness. You're trying to calm your anxiety, but you're befriending it. It's there, it's like a friend come back to say, hi, you're anxious again. These are emotions that are actually trying to get you to wake up. They're signals from your body to wake up. If you don't notice them, they get stronger. because we're tending to fuel them with our thinking or about a situation. The situation may not have changed because it could have been in the past, or may not have even arisen yet. You know, you could be thinking about the future and getting really wound up over it. It's not even happened, but our minds make it real, and our minds give us more and more emotions to that. So catch your thinking, lessening the emotions. But be with the emotions when they arise. That's very important. If you distract from them, they'll just stay there, you know, until you have noticed them. And often then it's more painful because they're stronger. And breathe is my final advice to you on this video. If you're at a supermarket queue and you're getting annoyed, breathe. If you're stuck at red traffic lights in a car, breathe. If you're noticing you're getting huffy puffy and you're sighing and you're sort of sluggish or feeling a bit down or whatever, try and come back to your breath. Meditation, breathing, be with your cups of tea, sit in the garden, just let the world go by. Give yourself permission to do that. We rush, we don't like sitting, we don't want to sit. You know, we're always thinking about something else. Why can I can't just sit here, you might say, your ego might say. I'm too lazy if I just sit here, your mind might say. But that's ego, that's not you. There's a higher self that's looking at all of these things. Be in the moment, enjoy your life. Sit in the garden, enjoy the birds, enjoy the sunshine, smell the roses. You'll have a much happier life. Your happiness will start to bubble. So that is this video, and thank you so much if you've managed to get all the way through and you're still here listening to me. Yep, just enjoy your life. Just go forth and try and choose to be mindful. Try and be mindful of a task. You know, drink your tea mindfully every day. Sit somewhere, breathe, and you'll start noticing a difference in your emotions and how you respond to things in life. There's going to be a series of these videos. This is the first one. There's also a sheet which I'll attach as a PDF download to the bottom of this video on my website. So you're welcome to download that, and it will cover in diagrammatic form what I've discussed. You're very welcome to download that, and you're also very welcome to ask me any questions or comment on these videos. You can do that. There's a contact form on my website. Feel free to fill that in if you like, if you want to comment. You can also contact me on Facebook. I'm on Zen Life Fife, so just follow me there. Send me a message there if you like. I'm also on Twitter at Craig Writer, so you can hook me up on Twitter if you like. Yeah, be in touch with me because there are questions that come up from these mindful practices, and I'd be very happy to help. So yeah, have a look round, see what you can find on this website as well. There's books and there's links to podcasts. I do audio files as well. And yeah, thanks very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. There's going to be one of these a week for the foreseeable future, so they'll be building up to have a resource, and they all follow my 10-week mindfulness course as well. So this is like the first hour of that mindfulness course you have just listened to. So that's great. So thanks very much, and I'll see you soon.